What we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly. Gentlemen.
But anyway, everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. It's a pleasure to be with you and with my friend Peter Croker, who's a mentor coach of mine and dear friend. He's helped me develop my coaching style over the years. So I owe him a debt of gratitude. You know, misunderstood concepts are, wouldn't you say, Peter, probably the thing that holds people back the most?
I'd say in the beginning, definitely, and along the way.
The journey of this will probably bounce around a little bit in how we discuss these things, but like misunderstood concepts. Why don't you take us through, Peter? The thing we see in the lesson to you all the time is the intent. Rather than going A to B with a club head from the two target game, what people try to do to the golf ball. Let's just go ahead and knock that one out of the park right now.
Exactly. Well, basically, when you're wanting to hit the golf ball to the flag in this direction, logically, when you start the game or along the way, you think, oh, I want to hit the ball straight, so I want the club to go. Well, over here in Australia, we play cricket, and when you play cricket, you want to make the bat go down what we call a straight bat. But golf is not cricket. It's you're swinging the club, you're standing to the side, and the club swings around and up and around and up. So what you want to do is make the club go from the top of the backswing, wherever the backswing arrives at, directly down towards the ball. So if I had a golf ball over here and I was this direction, the club is not travelling on the straight target line, it's coming up on this incline wheel. Now what must happen, the downswing, we need to throw the head from a two-target game. It's not the one target. The club head's target and the ball are not the target. So this was a really major insight that when we learn to make the club go in the direction where the shaft moves in line with the arm, the club head then can come down on this incline. Now when it does that, the club won't stay open, it will naturally release over, and at the moment of impact, it's like a door, it just comes back and hits square before it goes on the other side. So making golf a two-target game rather than the one target is a real, a major breakthrough for a lot of golfers, and it stops the ball going way over to the left, and it stops the slice because you start to release the club face in the process, get a nice solid impact.
Yeah, so to add on to that, you know, you see in my video, I've got a hula hoop right here. So, you know, in my hula hoop, like you'd mentioned, golf's a side-on game where we stand to the side, and we've got this tool to influence the golf ball. That's a situation where this golf club is working down in the direction A to B to the golf ball rather than some place that is not in the same relationship side on. So once people start to understand that if they can get the golf club head to work in a manner which they're very comfortable doing, actually, like we impose our will on the club head through our hands. And for a lot of golfers, if we put them in this position and teach them to uncock this golf club kind of in the plane of their lead arm, in the direction down and out to the golf ball, you know, that behavior is a very successful delivery for most people and eliminates a slice immediately. Occasionally, we have to fix a grip naturally. We have to adjust some conditions with the hands occasionally. I shouldn't say occasionally. In my case, for a lot of the golfers I see, it's most of the time. But once we build a functional grip where the club face isn't twisted open or twisted too closed, and golfers learn how to take the golf club from A to B, a lot of beautiful things happen. Arms start to work properly. Elbows don't separate. You'll notice that I'll see a lot of golfers get very, very steep on the way down to the target line. Elbows are separate, but if you're truly going A to B, elbows stay together nicely, and you have plenty of time to have this golf club face square, like Peter said, rather than something where we try to get to the target line too quickly. Then all of a sudden we have some reaction, usually requires us to lift our heads, stand up, and make an accommodation to get the club on the ball.
Exactly there, Martin. Would you like to hit a shot to demonstrate that?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to hit a shot. So A big part of the way Peter and I teach is a lot of it's routine and how we set up and waggle and tap the ground and get organized in the sense of I'm going to send this golf club in an orbit to a golf ball. The golf ball gets collected in that orbit because my intent is to send the golf club in a certain manner that is a down and out behavior by way of geometry. And if the golf ball is played, if we look at this circle again, I'm touching this golf ball before I get to the bottom of this circle. And so, if there's a Ferris wheel and there's a merry-go-round, and if I'm playing something inclined, that bottom of that hula hoop is fractionally ahead of the golf ball. So this event of going down and out to the golf ball, helps me have contact to the golf ball, then brush the ground, take maybe a mild divot, and then the club's geometry makes me kind of go back up and in on a realistic inclined circle. That is how we have to play this game of golf. So when you can see that in your mind and you understand the geometry of an inclined circle, I think golfers are better immediately. And by learning how to put your will into the golf club head properly with actively using your hands correctly, your body behaves rather nicely and supports the whole intent of striking crisp golf shots.
Yeah, exactly, Martin. That's important that when you're hitting on the A to B line, you're hitting the ball first and the ground second. And that's another understood concept. A lot of golfers that get into the game, they have this idea that they help the ball up in the air. And they're kind of trying to lift it up rather than catching the ball on that bending blow. So when they make contact, the handle into the club head rather than the club head ahead of the handle. And that's all part of the A to B line. When you come down on that inclined wheel, the shaft will naturally have a tendency to leaning forward. If you go on the outside, the tendency is that the club head gets there first, get the scooping up effect. So,
yeah, 100%. I think that, it's pretty easy to see face on when you look at where your hands are, the path your hands take in that sort of that center of both hands. As this is a direction down to the golf ball, there's a moment where the hands start to decelerate a little bit as the club head starts to accelerate a little bit, and that's what helps you kind of stay tall. You got to stay tall to hit down. You can't get down to hit down. You got to stay tall to hit down, to stay on top of a golf ball. You use the expression that was meaningful to me and very helpful to some of the students we taught years ago in the expression of thumbs down. So for the viewers, Peter, why don't you walk through some of the educated hands behavior of what that would mean and how a golfer that maybe doesn't have crisp contact, doesn't have the sensation of thumbs down, and how hands really go into that, the lead hand goes into that nice ulnar deviation just as a result of going A to B line, ball.
hey, look, Martin, that's a very important piece of technique you need to build in your golf swing, and that is that when you swing back, the swinging club hinges the wrists up so your thumbs are pointing up. Now, in the downswing, you don't want to hold that angle, otherwise what will happen is you'll flip over and your thumbs will never get deep into the shot. From the top of the swing, as I go slowly, it uncocks here. You add speed, all this uncocking happens a lot later, but the whole deal is the thumb must be pointing downward, and as it goes downward, then rotates. There's a naturalness in your hand that if you make your thumb point down, you'll see the last three fingers of the left hand start to curl, and that makes the thumb point down and gives you this arching of the left wrist through the impact zone. Very valuable when you want to make contact, because that way you get a solid impact as opposed to a scooping effect. And as the thumb goes down, those last three fingers curl, and that squares the club face. That squaring of the club face stops the slice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thumbs down and curling the last three fingers gives you that good compression on the golf ball. Also helps straighten the right arm, and it gives that great extension through the ball and helps really finish with a full rotation through the shot.
Right. I take it, You know, as things you taught me as a young pro many years ago. I hate to age you, but it's been a long time now, Peter. But you're looking good, buddy. You know, so as we start to kind of work down and through impact, some interesting things start to respond. When you have educated hands to move your hands properly, like if you're looking at me in this camera lens right here, if you were to throw me a ball and I want to catch it, I'm really not thinking about my step I'm going to take to respond to catch the golf ball. Because, you know, as humans, most of our senses are in our hands, other parts of our body, but a great majority in our hands. So when we train this behavior and we learn how to make that A to B motion, you've got the look of it that you see all good players have, where they have comfortably long arms. They're in a sense of extension. There's no scooping behavior because you can't go thumbs down and scoop. It's one or the other. So when you learn how to make this motion of A to B from the club head to the golf ball, thumbs down, like I say, it's not either or. It's you do it right or you don't. And so if you build it properly and do it thoughtfully, slowly first, you know, it's amazing how you can build that up and be a very successful striker quickly.
Exactly. Basically, educated hands are the key. The hands control the club, that's definite, but they also are much better at controlling the arms and the body than trying to put your attention on the body. So with a good pair of educated hands, you're not only going to control the club, you're going to control the correct arm action and the body turn, the pivot. You get the benefit of the three parts of you working together to help really get your power and your control. And that will help the system player.
What we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly. Gentlemen, great to be with you. Peter, it's a pleasure, pal. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks Chris, thanks Martin, and it will be great to be here. Just a little mention there, Martin has probably the number one golf school in Arizona. There are a lot of golf schools there, but you've been rated number one, so that's nice. Nice to be in your school today. Okay.